The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
There's a new marshal in town in central Kingston, and his name is Steve McGregor. He's the former senior superintendent of police, who says that he's inviting constituents to ride with him on the love train as he moves to victory in the next general election as the PNP's candidate. But what does he have in store for constituents? What are his big plans for the constituency? And what is his path to victory? He joins me this evening on Lead Story to answer those questions and more. Welcome to Lead Story here on CVM TV on this Friday. We have a very special guest, a man who is newly minted as the PNP's standard bearer. And when I say that, I want you to picture the old battles of ancient days when respective armies stood across the battle lines, and at the forefront stood the soldiers with the flags in hand. That's the standard, yeah? And the standard bearing was a very important part. Steve McGregor is not only bearing the standard, he's the main combatant for the PNP as they go into battle to reclaim Central Kingston, which of course was taken from them by the JLP in the 2020 general elections. There was a rather nice story put together about Steve McGregor and his ascension to this role of PNP caretaker candidate in waiting in Central Kingston. That was prepared by Andre Jebin. So for the news at 7 on CVM TV on Thursday, it was so good that we decided to use it as the introductory piece for today's discussion.
Superintendent of Police Steve McGregor was preparing to turn in his badge after 41 years in the force. CVM News was the first to report that he would be swapping the blue for the orange. At the time, he said his focus was elsewhere. Well, here he was in Central Kingston Wednesday night, telling the people why he should represent them in Parliament.
The Commission of Police in 2010 said me to this Central Kingston. I said they want a man to change the place because after the 2010 incursion, the place is gone. Me and my team brought murders from 68 to 18 that has never happened. And the kind of relationship that we ironed out with the people of Kingston Central is second to none.
Central Kingston is familiar to McGregor. He knows the area well, having lived and worked there. However, what is not known to him is how the fallout from him supplanting Lawrence Rowe will impact his political chances there. Rowe won an internal race to represent the PNP in 2023. But McGregor, using a relay analogy, suggested Rowe was simply holding the spot for him.
Not because I am the Usain Bolt, I'm kind of relay. When we get that medal, there's a medal for everyone. To include Comrade Rowe. If he says, I love train.
The PNP said its Integrity Commission did not sanction Rowe's candidacy. Rowe outlined on his Facebook page what he said was the PNP's attempt to bid him adieu, including offering him $15 million in resources, a Senate seat and a place on a state board. The party has denied this. Now McGregor appears cognizant of the need to assuage the Rowe row.
Because I need to sit with him one-to-one, man-to-man, and speak about the PNP going forward. Because if he's a comrade, I want him on my team. So as I said, he's no longer the anchor man for the team. I am that man. So I am the man that will be taking home the relay. If he's a part of my team, there's a gold medal at the end of the race for him. Guess what? All him have to do is to stay on my love train and we're good.
PNP President Mark Golding did not address the controversy when he spoke at the event, but touted McGregor. The PNP will likely need to take back Central Kingston to win Jamaica House. The party lost the seat in 2020 to Donovan Williams.
And I know he will deliver. And he also increases my options when we form the next government. That's right. Because the man has certain skills and certain knowledge and certain experience.
Emmanuel Duncan Price was the PNP's candidate.
Like Liam Neeson from the Taken movies, McGregor, according to Mark Golding, has a particular set of skills that will prove useful if the PNP wins the election to form the next government. You'll hear from Steve McGregor after this break.
Truth is, HIV affects everyone. Truth is, avoiding care leads to a weaker immune system. That means you could get really sick. The truth is, the hardest pill to swallow isn't the medication. It's the problems that follow when you don't take them. Let's get through this together. Remain in care. You can live life to the fullest with HIV. And that's the truth. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Till the day come, we are back, bigger and better. We still the same ones.
Let me tell you,
a big deal, something not telling a lie.
Let's go!
Bad man Jamaica,
we are here.
Double sensation, mob until the day come.
It's a vibe.
Listen, new adventures.
Quite exciting.
Green, yellow, black flag.
We'll find the crevices and the corners.
Whether it be Magati in a town, yeah. You don't think it's nothing yet? Easy yourself.
Yard man style when I come true.
Welcome everybody, we are back.
Season 2 of the Holy Road. Season 2, we are here. Let me tell you, I am super excited to be on for another season to show you the Holy Road.
Listen, new adventures, we might be moving further out of Kingston, further out of anywhere nearby. We'll find the crevices and the corners that have the most unique stories.
Back with us on Lead Story here, Steve McGregor, the PNP caretaker for Central Kingston in the House, candidate in waiting. When the time comes and you have to put your name forward, his will be the name in the PNP column in Central Kingston. But what about the constituency, though, and the two divisions in it? What's the representation like at this moment? Well, the Allman Town division in Central Kingston is represented by a PNP councillor, while the Raytown division is represented by a JLP councillor. Charmaine Daniels, PNP, 2,281 from the local government elections held last February, and Rosie Hamilton holding for the JLP in Raytown. So it's 1-1 in terms of the two divisions that make up Central Kingston. In terms of the historic picture, in terms of who has led the constituency from which side, there have been, 13 general election contests in Central Kingston since 1944. I would have told you already. It was one of the original constituencies contested first general elections after universal adult suffrage. Frank Pixley for the JLP won the first contest, but then Wilzo Isaacs, the former Minister of Trade and Industry, won 3 terms, represented it for 3 terms, of course. Former Prime Minister Michael Manley, the former Minister of Health and Beautician, Madam Rose Leon, a few terms there. Ralph Brown, the former Minister of Works and Local Government, also had a stint. The current Minister of Gender, Culture, Entertainment, Olivia Babs-Grange, had a stint. She also lost to Ralph Brown in 1989. Ronald Thwaites has the most wins in Central Kingston of any Member of Parliament, winning 4 times. Victor Cummings served once, and Donovan Williams served last time. Noteworthy, before we leave this graphic, it took 49 years between Frank Pixley's win and Olivia Babs-Grange in 93 for the JLP to get the seat back, and then 27 years between Babs Grange's win in 93 and Donovan Williams in 2020. No doubt Steve McGregor will say, well, he wants to start another dynasty of PNP wins in these seats. So enough of that. Steve McGregor, welcome to the Lead Story, sir.
Blessings, sir.
Good. Fortis Cadre said they're non-protest?
That is it.
There
Fortis
you go.
for life.
There. I didn't go there, but it's an outstanding school, so respect is due. So hear me now. You are in Central Kingston. In January last year, you said that you were thinking, upon leaving the JCF, you said you were thinking of representational politics because it's an area you believe that your skills would serve well. What do you have in mind for the constituency and its people?
Well, it starts, that's the community that I grew up in. You know what I mean? I'm a humble parentage. I was born in Moortown, as I said before. You know, I came to Kingston at age 6, and I lived in Dunkirk. That is the one that was changed to McIntyre Villa. The way it was changed, I moved to Cambridge Street. I lived there for over 13 years, attended Franklin Town Primary, and then onwards to Kingston College. So I have the pedigree there. I used to run in the gullies with the youngsters there, barefoot, do what we did. I can tell you something significant. Ryan Peralta lived at the bottom of Cambridge Street.
As a former JLP General Secretary.
And he lived in the community. Michael Manley won over the time that I lived there. We used to play football against the guys down the bottom, and we used to say PMP against JLP, but it's quite friendly. So from those times, I had that linkage. Marjorie Taylor was a really outstanding counselor. She engaged us as youngsters, and they had the crash program work then, so she gave us some little things to do, and then we'd get one of the $20. The $20 was the biggest note then, you know, it looked red, and that would serve me for 2-3 weeks going to school. So when mom would say, you want? And say, I don't need any lunch money, I have lunch money. So I had that relationship with the People's National Party. I knew I was attending Kingston College, so I was smart. I was like the leader for the youngsters then, so, you know, and getting this opportunity to go back to a community that I grew up in, watched what took place, and is in a position to represent, to agitate, to see if I can make some more Little Steve. What more could I ask for?
What though, and I'm happy you've given us this historical perspective and your relationship with Central Kingston from boy days. What does the constituency need?
All right, so in 2010, the then Commissioner Ellington, after the joint police military operation in West Kingston, there was a big void because, you know, the whole unofficial running donship from West to Central was there, but we had knocked that out of the park. So he said, Steve, you are the best man to go to Central. And he sat with him. I'll tell you this without fear of any contradiction. Owen Ellington was the best commissioner that I served under. He knew how to pick winners, and he could motivate people. Sat me down, gave me a charge, and I went to Central Kingston. And we walked in the streets, worked with the citizens. The citizens were the centerpiece of all the strategies that we used. And between 2010, 11 to 2012, we brought the murder rate down to 18, unprecedented. I had some sessions in the Kingston Central front yard there. Everybody right across the board. And we are talking about JLP, PMP, because we weren't even thinking that then. But what was critical, and this relates to what is happening now in the country, is the fear of crime. Because a lot of people underestimate the difference between fear of crime and crime itself.
Correct.
And the fear of crime is much, much more greater than crime itself. So we brought that down so people could move across boundaries, move across freely, no differences between people that would occasion shots being fired. We found no guns in that period.
So in response to this the question I've asked about what does Central Kingston need, you're saying then that it's a need for security that you are...
And people who knows what to do. And the fact that most of the initiatives that we use were crafted by myself. They are still there at Central. I can speak to the commander, the community safety officers. They are there waiting for me to work with them, to bring them closer to the citizenry, so we can bring that semblance of calm. Right now, it is good, so I must
because
say,
I was going to say that the current MP will tell you that
yes, it is
it's
really
calm
good.
under his hand and he doesn't have your experience.
Yes, but it is good. But we're thinking about continuity, and I'm saying I'm not going there just to win an election. I'm going there to continue a movement. You understand? To make the people feel like they are one.
Hear you on that.
Yes.
Take another break and come right back. Steve McGregor, after this break, beyond the security for Central Kingston, what are the other immediate needs, and does he have a plan already to address those needs? Because it's a tough community and it can be great potential. How can he tap into the potential of the people there? More after this.
Join my private room. Only $1,000 for a grand time.
That I know me. We never said that. But who going to believe me?
That is correct. $4,350,000. Yes, go ahead. $4 million? I never approved that.
Yes, me go doctor tomorrow. So me have to get the money today, no longer. Then no me face that. We never make no record or beg nobody no money.
Deepfakes are AI-generated images and videos made to look and sound like people we know and trust. They're used to spread misinformation, destroy reputations, and are used to commit fraud and scams. Don't fall victim to deepfakes. Protect yourself. For more information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or scan the QR code on screen.
We are back for season 2 of Corner Office. Back to school time. We are highlighting small businesses, hard-working Jamaicans who are doing their own thing in their own spaces. People who are in their role, bossing up their role.
Let's go!
Let's get it! It's not if you own the company or not, it's how you own the role. I feel like I'm patient right now. Guess what? It is your Corner Office. Season 2, bigger and better. And guess what? You think it's nothing yet? Check it out. We're the end of the place. And that couple. Easy yourself.
Yeah, in the words of Jay-Z, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Those numbers on that graphic tell a picture that the PNP's vote share in Central Kingston has been declining over time while the JLP's has been picking up. JLP 37.45 in 2007, but in 2020 45.68, and it's been a steady climb. Look, progression where the JLP is concerned, but for the PNP, it has been doing the shankle dip. 2007 52.10, 2011 58.98, down in 2016 and down further in 2020. Steve McGregor will have to buck that trend to get himself on the list of people who will be sworn in as members of parliament after the next election. He has said up front that one of the biggest things to do is to put a permanent cap on violence in the constituency, to have the communities cooperating, to have the fear of crime reduced significantly so persons can feel comfortable. He says that that's the most important thing, and you have to believe him given the volatile nature of Central Kingston from time to time. I've asked you beyond that, and I know that you don't want to show your hand too much because you're going into an election race very shortly, but what is that other big thing or big things that you think need addressing in Central Kingston?
Well, it's a poor constituency. It's not like the typical constituency in Jamaica where you have a rich area and a middle. It's one right across the board. Everywhere in Kingston Central.
I never thought of that.
Yes, it's the same. And what I used to do when I was a police officer, we used to make a list of all the dilapidated houses, buildings, those that should be demolished and those that can be refurbished. And we'll put this to KCC, to the housing ministry, because this was impact on crime itself, where that is concerned. So I'll continue that process. But as the MP now, I'll be able to impact it from the macro level, to speak to the Prime Minister and the Minister who is responsible to see how best I can agitate that process for them. So I'll be on the ground to do that. One of the other things is that they are humble people, so they depend on dances a lot. You know, I have devised a strategy where we will set up a love train end of month, Sundays. So you will have Love Train Sunday, Tel Aviv edition, Love Train Sunday, Raytown edition, and so across the board. But what I'll put in that to make it more structured is that each community will have to send me an initiative, a project that the proceeds of that dance will use, and we use it at Homework Center, whatever we do. So it makes sense.
So it's not to make a promoter bid.
No.
It's to generate funds for the community.
For the community. But what I will do is to get every community to converge on that community on that given Sunday. So that is why it has that round robin kind of connotation. And at the same time, we'll be developing the camaraderie and people moving across, making friends. And when I said it, the president of the Football Federation called me and said, you know, Steve, you have to go put a sporting thing into that plan we have. So we're going to do the same thing with some six-a-side. He said he will give me the ball. Okay, you know, I'm the security liaison man for the... So there are prospects in doing that. And all of that will bring those little money-making issues so they can bring that to the fore. There are a lot more plans relative to the waterfront, making Kingston Central the nightlife center, people coming from the airport. This is a stopover spot, but I'm not going to give you all of that right now. But that is in my agenda to work with.
So let me see if I can put it, knit it together now. So you say, first thing, crime and security, reduce the fear of crime. Then you go into the communities and say, okay, let us generate something that provides entertainment, but also provides revenue generation.
Exactly.
So you earn while you entertain, the community is collaborating. That way you're regularly doing business together, so you won't have any time or reason to fight. It will be peace. So it is a loop, a circle that involves revenue generation, building communities, building camaraderie, and making money and living.
But I don't want a PR man, and I have him right here.
I hear you on that.
Because you have analyzed the thing properly, my friend. That is my vision. And I will feel so empowered to know that I can share with a community that I have roots, and they know that Steve is here.
Somebody asked you, so somebody says to you, well, super. I know people still say SSP.
Yeah, man, them still say that.
There you go. So they say, well, how is what you are proposing superior to what Donovan Williams can provide? What would you say?
It doesn't have the management skill. What I bring to the table is somebody they can believe in, somebody that they trust, somebody that has done this before at a smaller level, bringing it up to a higher level, you understand? And I'm going to be there with them. You know what I mean? One of the plans that I have is not to say anything bad about my opponent. And firstly, I'll say this, I have a real good relationship with Mr. Williams. The last time we met, and this is again breaking news, I saw him at a football match, and he saw me in the gear, the football gear, the one that they wear. I said, boy, Steve, that look good, man, get one for me now. And I said, I'll get one for you. And he told me the size. So I said, me and him, when we are exchanging, because I'm going to get that jersey for him, package, and we speak and we say, we want to build a relationship. Anything that happens, you will speak to me, I will speak to you. Anything that goes wrong, we don't run to, we communicate and see. And I'm certain that we can develop that. So we have a proper relationship going into the election.
Quick questions. The PNP only has 14 seats now. The JLP has 49. Well, 48 plus 1. George Wright is floating. The party needs to win at least 18 more to form Jamaica House. So it will be 18 seats at least that they have to focus on while trying to hold the 14 that they have. Is there a danger that, as the graphic showed, the PNP vote share in Central Kingston is reducing, that maybe they won't have enough time and resources to help you to bring the vote share up sufficient for you to get that victory on election day?
That is why I'm here. So I am the conduit. I am the change maker here. And because I have given them the the undertaking that I can get out those who didn't come out. Because what I'll put to you is that a lot of our voters did not come out. They are there. So it is my charge is to get them out, and that is what I'm setting out to do. Anything that we get next is bonus.
Yes.
Like those people who are wearing green that love Steve and will want to believe in Steve and vote for Steve, that is a bonus. I'm going to work on getting out all our comrades to vote.
You came here under controversial circumstances, so it's highly likely that some comrades, especially those who love Lawrence Rowe, will still feel bitter and hard done by. One of them was heard on tape saying that they'd rather paint the constituency office green than support somebody else if Lawrence Rowe is not the candidate. You would have met with Rowe today?
Well, I said in my presentation that I would make effort to do so. I called him and he didn't answer, but he returned the call. And we spoke for 20 minutes, and it was quite cordial. We found reason to laugh while exchanging. In fact, I was saying I did not know him, and he pointed out to me that we have met on 2 occasions, and he told me what we discussed, and so on. He's adamant. Well, he's clear that he has resigned from the PNP. He went on to say that he has retired from politics. I'm going to say, a young man like you, man, I need, just like that. And we laugh. And I say, I want you on my side. But he did not give me
in the committee yet.
No. He said to me, he will watch from the stands. Because we were talking about cricket and all of that. But I am optimistic. The way in which we exchanged, we spoke a lot. And I feel that this is somebody that I can talk to. So I am optimistic that we are going to speak again. And we will get somewhere.
And if you get positive vibes from him, are you upbeat? Are you optimistic also that those comrades who support him and maybe fuming under the quiet, that it is you and not him who's going forward? Do you think you can win them over?
Well, that's what I'm thinking, because I said to him, we have no issue. He has some personal issue with the PNP hierarchy, and that can be sorted out. But what I'm saying,
you're not enemies?
No. And we can go together. And he said, I asked him, so you're not wishing me well? And him said, boy, the best man may win. And he laughed. You know, so being a negotiator, being a people person, I heard people saying some things about him. I am optimistic that this is somebody that I can speak to. And I'm looking forward to speak to him again and to see how we get. Because I told him I don't want to go into a competition with Williams and have to be thinking about internal issues. And I know he doesn't want that either.
Donovan Williams as MP. So on this day in sports, Steve McGregor, you're a man of sport, you're a football man, the JFF's security liaison. How do you rate your chances out of 10 to make Donovan Williams a one-term MP in Central Kingston?
I would say 8.
8?
Yeah, right now it might go
80% today.
Right now, because I'm confident. The people are happy that I'm there. And if you see it, I heard somebody saying that they brought in people for me. People came because even police officers came, past police officers, you know, people from West Kingston came because they heard, because of the relationship. I crafted out a brand for Steve McGregor, 41 years in the JCF. I am one of the most loved police officers, and I'm saying this myself, you know, because I know I feel the outpouring of love from people. So I know that I will get that support.
And people believe in Steve.
Yes, they
the
do
love
believe
train
in Steve.
riding
and the
all
love
the
train
way
will
to
roll
Jamaica
right
House
through.
and to Garden
That's
House.
where we are.
I hear you. I wish you all the best, sir.
Blessings, my brother. Yeah.
Former Senior Superintendent of Police Steve McGregor, he has put the marker down. He is the PNP's standard bearer in Central Kingston. He says today he's 80% confident, and with work to come, he says he's very optimistic. He'll be the next Member of Parliament in this constituency. He says the Lawrence Rowe problem is being resolved and comrades will be moving in one vehicle on the love train. That's my time. Curlin Brown lying in...
We are back. We are back.
Season 2 of the Holy Road. Season 2. We are here. Let me tell you, I am super excited to be on for another season to show you the Holy Road.
Listen, new adventures. We might be moving further out of Kingston, further out of anywhere nearby, to find the crevices and the corners that have the most unique stories.
Are you really going to miss this? Prove you're not that guy. Every step counts. Sign up now. The time by Sagicor Sigma run is
7 o'clock. Number 3 versus number 5. The Spar Proteus march into the land of sunshine. Awaiting them are some of the world's best from the land of wood and water. It's Jamaica versus South Africa in a 3-test netball series. And CVM TV is the place to see it happen. January 18, 22 and 25, the National Indoor Sports Centre comes alive. Tune in to CVM TV to see 2 of the best in the world go head-to-head in this titanic battle. Don't miss it.
Sunshine Series, brought to you by KFC, Ray and Nephew, Chris and Charles.
In CVM News at 7, high energy costs hindering special economic zone investment. Reflections on a new grooming policy for schools. Heart disease crisis threatens young Jamaicans. In the business report, we are chilling at the nest with the CB Group. And we sip on more traditional flavors with Sister Love. While in sports, it's first versus second as Mount Pleasant battle Arnott in JPL Match Week 18.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7 for Friday, January 17, 2025. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Carolyn Brown in for Nika Lewis. School grooming policies are once again in the spotlight, sparking a fresh wave of debates across the island. As Shantae McNeil reports, the ministry says changes are being made to the current policies to facilitate inclusivity.
It's a perennial issue. That's how Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon describes the long-standing debate of school grooming as discussions intensify over striking a balance between inclusivity and order. Addressing Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing at Jamaica House, the minister says several groups are being consulted as the ministry takes steps to formulate an updated policy.
It was circulated with the principals. It was circulated with the student council members. So the students have a voice with the churches. So everybody has been looking at this policy of grooming. But we have to make sure that the rules are fair. And we need to make sure that there is order in our schools. There's too much in order in our society. And our schools are very important for us to maintain order. But we understand that times change. Times change and you have to look at things differently.
The conversation was reignited after a McGraw High School student was reportedly denied entry because his hair was deemed too long. The minister emphasized the need for balance.
We have to balance order, something that we struggle with as a country, and we have to ensure that order is maintained in our educational institutions. And we also understand that as young people, they want to express themselves in different ways. And, it may be in hair, in dress, in other things. But the key thing we know is that school is not a fashion runway, right?
President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Dr. Mark Smith, has since weighed in on the matter, sharing that instilling compliance in the nation's schools is especially important in preparation for professional life.
And you're going to need people, as they move into the working world, and employers talk about this all the time, to be able to comply with rules and regulations. Now, I'm not saying that is specific to hairstyle. What I'm saying is that there must be some compliance with some regulatory framework that you have within the respective organizations. What we have to do is ensure that we have a robust enough dialogue that permits the space for schools to still have a sense of identity as to what are the values for that respective school.
He says it cannot be that teachers are being held accountable for compliance, but not the same for students.
You're holding teachers accountable, but we can't hold students accountable. Under the regulation, I can send home a teacher who's not properly attired for school, and ask them to return properly attired in accordance with our policy that we have, because we can't have a case in which it's a free-for-all for students, but the adults, both in the general society as well as within our schools, are beholden to very precise rules.
Shante McNeil, CVM News.
Meanwhile, gains have been made on implementing recommendations to improve national education. But the Education Transformation Oversight Committee is calling for more this year. ETOC and the Education Ministry are looking to policy reform and collaboration as part of the game plan. Courtney Lewis has more in this report.
Education stakeholders are calling for the government to implement policies to improve teacher performance and salaries as part of the plans to improve the education sector. The chairman of the Education Transformation Oversight Committee, ETOC, Dr. Adrian Stokes, says this includes ensuring educators are qualified and fairly compensated for good work.
You're going to have to improve the incentive regime in a material way. You're going to have to improve the performance management regime for teachers in a material way. The accountability measures governing the teaching profession will need to be changed radically.
While the ministry reports 22% progress in implementing the committee's 365 recommendations, work on one of the key pillars, the Jamaica Teaching Council bill, is slow.
ETOC urges the government and all stakeholders to move forward with this critical piece of legislation. It is very difficult to have meaningful transformation in our education without a modern framework that ensures we have the best people in education working in an environment with clear rules and standards.
The recommendations go beyond educators as Dr. Stokes calls for a revised recruitment process of school board members and for more hands-on participation of the ministry in schools. This is to align with the ministry's plan to improve performance to 80% in literacy and 50% in numeracy for 2025.
And so we have increased the time for math and English to no less than 5 hours per week, which means that the children should be doing math and English every single day for an hour at least.
Permanent Secretary in the ministry, Dr. Kassan Troop, also says collaborative effort is necessary to achieve academic and social improvement, a sentiment echoed by the minister.
Parents have to be a part of that. When we say we have extended days, you have to send your children. When we say we're having class on Saturday, you have to send your children. You have to understand that your children have to go to school. We can't improve their maths performance if they're not there. Or if they come 2 days and then they're absent for 3 or 4 more days and this is routine. So there are many things that are outside of the ministry. We're working. The Parenting Commission is here. We have to do more work in terms of training our parents. And we have to work with our guidance counselors in our schools because our children need a lot of that support.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
Heart disease is striking younger Jamaicans at an alarming rate with limited access to care, putting thousands at risk. As Shante McNeil reports, the island has fewer than 20 cardiologists available to treat the disease, accounting for thousands of deaths annually.
Heart attacks is often ignored until it hits close to home. Globally, 17 million people die each year from heart attacks and accounts for 56% of all hospital deaths in Jamaica.
Authorities are now warning of a troubling rise in cases, especially among our younger population. 32-year-old Abigail Smythe knows this firsthand, having been diagnosed at an early age with a rare genetic heart disease called arrhythmogenic right ventricular dysplasia.
I was having signs and symptoms since I was 7, but I wasn't properly diagnosed until I was 19. It is one of the hardest things. And one of the common symptoms that I experienced was chest pains. And even back in the day, due to lack of awareness and all of that and lack of education, my own family members told me, oh, your chest hurt, you drink little tea, I guess. A lot of people have chest pains and ignore those symptoms, and it's their heart telling them something.
She says early intervention at the Heart Institute of the Caribbean, HIC, saved her life. But for many Jamaicans, access to care remains out of reach. The island has fewer than 20 cardiologists, most based in Kingston, leaving thousands vulnerable. HIC's chairman, Dr. Ernesto Madu, calls the imbalance alarming, citing the nation's high rate of heart disease and heart attacks.
I've shown you the data, what happens without treatment. So imagine this 7,500, some of these are happening in Savlamar, some are happening in Black River, some are happening in Bugwalk and so on. Now, the best effort will be to get to a facility that has the capability to deal with this immediately.
But that isn't always the case, which is why Dr. Madu is suggesting measures the government can implement to tackle this health challenge. Among those given, a dedicated cardiovascular training program.
There is no cardiologist in Jamaica that learned cardiology in Jamaica. That will mean that we have to have a facilitated entry of well-trained, nobody's talking about untrained people, well-trained cardiologists can come into the system to support developing cardiology services in Jamaica. Number two, our nurses are leaving, right? We have to either try to do more to retain our nurses so they can support the development of cardiovascular care.
In 2017, the Ministry of Health reported that treating cardiovascular diseases could cost Jamaica $77 billion over the next 15 years. Health experts continue to urge citizens to take the steps required to lead a healthy lifestyle, not just for themselves, but also for future generations. Shante McNeil, CVM News.
CVM News at 7 will continue in just a moment.
Flow brings new prepaid plans for everywhere you move. With more data to power the way you play, progress, and how you bring your vibe to the world. Flow has reimagined prepaid mobile plans with more data to use anywhere you like. Get 7 days with 25 gigabytes of end-use data for only $1,040. Download the Top Up Flow app today to unlock exclusive deals.
JPS. My JPS app, yeah. The mobile app, brave as I said, hap. With the mobile app, you feel know you can't flop the app in a happiness. Cause what? My JPS app easy, turn a riddle my light of it bright and it moon. If I want thing me love me JPS app, me I tell you about it in the tune. My JPS app easy, turn a riddle for me light of it bright and it moon. If I want thing me love me JPS app, yeah we fully outside with the crew.
JPS, powering what matters.
25 for 25 millions I give it to 25 customers. Switch to Digi, you could win $1 million. Digicel is giving away 25 mil. It's a great time to switch to Digicel. Visit the Digicel store today. Purchase smartphones as low as 10K. Buy a 7-day plan or higher. Get a top up of 20 US from overseas or give the plan for more entries. Any of these could make you a winner. Conditions apply. The 25 for 25 promotion is authorized under Section 58 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Promotion lasts from January 3rd to February 6th. 25 for 25. Better connected.
Thanks so much for staying with us. Now, a medical professional is advising caution on the roads following an increase in the number of emergency patients in St. James. The clinical coordinator for the Western Regional Health Authority says the rush of patients comes at a cost to emergency departments in the parish. Here's Courtney Lewis with more.
There's a strong plea for greater discipline on Jamaica's roadways. This time it's from the health sector, as motor vehicle accidents have become a burden on trauma resources.
We need some discipline on our roadways. We cannot go into 2025 like this. We're going to bleed the entire health budget looking after, accident victims
In December, the Cornwall Regional Hospital saw an influx of patients, which Dr. Delroy Frey, clinical coordinator for the Western Regional Health Authority, says caused significant strain on the emergency room staff.
After 22 gunshot wound patients, along with 131 motor vehicle accidents, I don't have to do the maths for you to tell you the impact during the month of December and into that Christmas season that it had on our accident and our emergency staff.
Dr. Frey says estimated costs for the strain may be enormous, and many well-needed patients are left disenfranchised.
I don't know, we are diagnosing so many cancer cases. Those patients need urgent and quick care. We need our bed space to look after them.
While he celebrates a decrease in trauma incidents for January, Frey sends a message of caution to the public.
I'm making a strong plea. I want to see exercise, discipline on the road, patience on the road, drive with caution. I mean, you stop at the stoplight and it turn green, and within flash second, people, you're blowing horn. It shows that people just, not care. I don't know where they are hurrying to. Exercise caution on the road. That's what I'm asking.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
In St. Elizabeth, the Shadow Minister of Mining, Michael Phillips, is laying out major proposals to remedy dust nuisance caused by a mining plant in the parish. The plant, which is not in use, has become a major concern for residents, with fears for safety and health on the rise. Here again is Courtney Lewis with more.
The opposition is voicing its disdain with the consistent dust nuisance arising from the mud lake of a mining plant in St. Elizabeth. The opposition says residents have complained the dust is unbearable, especially during the dry periods of the year. But the Shadow Minister on Mining is assuring major changes should he take office.
One is ensuring that we have an office within government that is a buffer between the sector itself and the community. So just like we have the Office of the Utilities Regulation, where you make a complaint about JPS or NWC, it's a similar thing that we're proposing. Because at every juncture, the citizens of Jamaica has to be protected.
Phillips says a regulatory body will ensure accountability. While he welcomes the mining investment, he calls for the gains in land and funds to be given back to communities and for land titling and formalization after the relocation of residents.
When you are uprooted from where you were born to a new location and can't even utilize that land to go to NHT or even to the bank to build a proper house for yourself, leaves you in a worse off position. And the first thing is finding out the total amount of land and ensuring that even if bauxite is still left on it, that they mine it, reclaim the land, and get it back into the hands of the people for useful purposes.
But the issues do not stop there. Security of the mud lake is also a major concern, especially for children traversing the area. The People's National Party caretaker for Southern St. Elizabeth is appealing to the authorities to address the citizens' concerns.
Any unauthorized persons can go over there. I'm very concerned. The operators of Alpha should do something quickly.
And there are children in the area too. It is left open. Some security of the borders ought to be done.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
Meanwhile, with garbage collection still a major issue island-wide, in Savannah-Lamar in the west, residents and visitors are appealing for urgent action to tackle the mounting waste in the town. Here's Adrian Williams with more.
It's a shame and disgrace that when I come in park and look at the people that live around this area and see garbage in front of the people, So what about the council and the NP? What are they doing for the people to make the environment much better and cleaner for the people? It's a shame, man. You know, the people don't have nobody to talk to because they don't see nobody until election time. They come around like little pet monkey. No, sir. We can't do that. We need something much better than that. And the people that deserve better in this country.
Still more to come in a moment. Stay with us.
Whatever the crunch you want with KFC's popcorn chicken. Delicious, crispy, irresistible. Now available in hot and spicy. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Thanks to my Prime Minister for this opportunity. For me to be a homeholder who was living in a terrible condition for so many years. Thank you again.
We just try to make life goes on with the little that we have.
It is the aspiration of the government. It is what the government tries to do every day to lift people out of poverty into a decent life. The new social housing program is a key component of the social safety net.
As I've always said, this is probably one of the most fulfilling programs for me because you literally see the transformation of people's lives.
Thanks so much for staying with us. High electricity costs are stifling economic growth. That's a concern recently voiced by lawmakers as they explored ways to make Jamaica's special economic zones more attractive to foreign investors. With JPS's all-island license set to expire in 2027, could it be a time to consider introducing competition? Let's get more from Ramon Gordon.
The Joint Select Committee on the Electricity Act is grappling with how to make Jamaica's special economic zones more attractive to investors. At the heart of the debate is the high cost of electricity and the limited options available to developers.
The biggest stumbling block to the expansion of the special economic zones is the electricity cost. It is stifling growth of the SEZ and growth of the country.
Under the current law, SEZ developers can only get electricity from JPS, which controls all electricity generated and so consequently is the primary authority on pricing. Committee member Anthony Hilton says that's a deal breaker for potential investors.
And this is why I'm in favor of a tweaking of the existing system to give the developer options and to break this finger by a concept. If there's an assessment and evaluation by the developer that he's better off with a microgrid and with battery backup or whatever the system is, then he should be given an option.
The committee discussed potential changes to allow developers to self-generate and, in certain circumstances, possibly supply electricity within the zones. But the JPS exclusive license remains a legal obstacle.
We know that the developers can self-generate. The issue in our mind is the fact that the exclusive license which JPS has allows for JPS only to supply electricity in terms of selling it to consumers.
In 2012, the Supreme Court ruled that JPS's exclusive license was invalid, citing restrictions on market entry. But in 2015, the Court of Appeal overturned that decision. With high electricity costs continuing to burden Jamaicans, some advocates argue the lack of competition stifle affordability and sustainability. The issue could threaten progress on special economic zones, a key pillar of the government's Global Logistics Hub initiative.
What if we were to establish a license that can be issued to a SEZ that allows for self-generation, and then pass regulations outlining the criteria.
The committee plans to draft amendments and consult the cabinet before finalizing its recommendations. The current all-island license for the Jamaica Public Service Company is set to expire in 2027, with the minister indicating during the meeting that negotiations for a new agreement are forthcoming. What may these new considerations mean for the future of Jamaica's energy supply? Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
And we're upon another quick break. More to come.
Join my private room. Only $1,000 for $1,000 time.
That I know me. We never said that. But who going to believe me?
That is correct. $4,350,000. Yes, go ahead. $4 million? I never approved that.
Yes, me go doctor tomorrow. So me have to get the money today, no longer. Then no me face that. We never make no record or beg nobody no money.
Deepfakes are AI-generated images and videos made to look and sound like people we know and trust. They're used to spread misinformation, destroy reputations, and are used to commit fraud and scams. Don't fall victim to deepfakes. Protect yourself. For more information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or scan the QR code on screen.
We are back for season 2 of Corner Office. Back to school time. We are highlighting small businesses, hardworking Jamaicans who are doing their own thing in their own spaces. People who are in their role, bossing up their role.
Let's go!
Let's get it. It's not if you own the company or not, it's how you own the role. I feel like I'm patient right now. Guess what? It is your Corner Office. Season 2, bigger and better. And guess what? You think it's not yet? Check it out. We're the end of the place. Undercover. Easy yourself.
We welcome you back with our regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. The Venezuelan ambassador to St. Lucia has weighed in on the U.S. rejection of Nicolas Maduro's presidency. More from HTS News Force.
Ambassador of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela in St. Lucia, Her Excellency Life Escalona, has questioned the U.S. rejection of Nicolas Maduro's re-election in the presidential poll as a pretext for geopolitical maneuvering. Escalona expressed this view during a sit-down with radio show host Stanley Lucien this week. The U.S. has also offered a $25 million reward for Maduro's arrest.
This candidate, who lost the election, he went to Argentina, he went to Panama, he visited Biden too. He tonight is going to Costa Rica, for example. Some few presidents of the region are inviting him like a president, but he's not a president. Our president is Nicolas Maduro. But this one is part of the manipulation, is part of the strategy that they did before with another person in Venezuela, like Juan Guaido. Never exist, but they recognize him. It's part of the game.
In Ghana, the Ministry of Labour has said that for the past 4 years, 60% of the persons it trained are women, and that a significant number was in male-dominated fields, according to Labour Minister Joseph Hamilton. That report from Newsroom Guyana.
Over 2024, at the level of the Board of Industrial Training, we trained 1,490 persons in 104 projects across 29 occupational areas. In all regions except Region 8, 794 males and 696 females. Sum expended is 169,326,000. Important to this data is that over the period from 2020, we have trained 12,765 persons across the country, 5,077 males and 7,688 females.
We go now to our business report.
Anything for the taste of a KFC, big deal. The time by KFC is
7:30. Did you know that there are many exciting careers in public health? Join the Ministry of Health and Wellness for its Health and Wellness Career Expo and Employment Fair 2025, Wednesday and Thursday, January 22nd and 23rd on the UWI campus. Learn about exciting and emerging career opportunities in public health. Walk with your resume for on-site interviews for available jobs across the island. Entertainment, giveaways, and free health screening. We've got them. Admission free. A career in health, the roadmap to success.
Welcome back. So I did pick the start a bit. It is now time for the business report with Joel Crosskill.
Lots to share with you in the business report today about a bold move that some may even have called cuckoo at the time. An idea was hatched by the Caribbean Broilers Group that had the potential to let fly the coop of convention towards currents capable of lifting the sector onto a sustainable flight path. As a state-of-the-art air-chilled facility, its construction weathered by the challenges of the age and the uncertain climes of St. Catherine's fledgling light industry potentials ruffle the feathers of factors of what may now become possible within Jamaica's broiler sector and beyond.
What is the future for the Nest? We named this facility the Nest because we said this is just the beginning, the start of life. A definition for the Nest is a place that fosters growth and development, an incubator, a home. For years we would have ideated, we would have dreamt, but the Nest is where this potential becomes reality. Many people mistakenly believe that the poultry industry is simply made up of the CB Group and Jamaica Broilers. And I do take a moment to acknowledge Mr. Robert Levy, the chair of the Jamaica Broilers Group. The Nest was never intended to be for CB's benefit alone. We have always looked at this for industry and for our country. So I do say thank you for being here to show your support. You know, we compete hard, and we compete on the shelves of the many customers that we have here today, or for their storerooms, or to be on their menu. But I will tell you, every time I see a news clip of you investing in another country, opening up another operation, exporting to another country, I'm actually cheering you on. That's foreign exchange earned for Jamaica. That's jobs in Jamaica. And that's us as a little industry trying to compete on a global scale. In food and agriculture, the industry is from the policy.
We do apologize for the quality of the sound there as we now go to our social media landscape.